Okay, so you can see from this top view now I've got a cube. It's pretty good for the from the side from that medial or left camera. Um, Not very good though from the top in terms of the way it's reflecting the. So I'm just going to use some of these edges we made to try to scale this more accurately. So I'll double click to get all four edges. Bring that in a little bit or scale it so it's a little more narrow. So it tends to look like it tapers more as it comes into the back. Okay, let's see what's going on here from the perspective view. Okay, this edge needs to come in. Okay. I think even this top has to come in a little bit. So is this back here? And even the front looks a little too big right there. I'm guessing we left the bottom. I left the bottom open too as well. Okay. The only other thing I might do is just take this whole front face and move it back just a touch. So there's a little discrepancy between my front, my left, and my top. So I'm going to go kind of halfway in between both. Maybe bring this up just a little bit. I don't want this to be quite so. I don't want that edge, right? See how far off it is from the side? I'm going to bring it up to here. Bring this out a little more, despite what the top says to me. Okay, so I've kind of got that now. Um, got a situation here. I've made that. Really need this little prominence that comes out the posteriorly there. Um, and the only way I'm going to do that, if I try to grab vertices and pull it out, I'm going to lose uh, this kind of subtlety, if you will. This. So what I might do then instead is grab the face, select the face, say mesh extrude, and pull that out. Hit R to scale it so it's smaller. And then I also want to scale it in this angle smaller. And I want it to be relatively medial. I'm going to move it that way a little bit. And I'm going to take these edges here. And I'm going to move it just a little. So when you're trying to do something in 3D and you've got two-dimensional images, it's not always possible to get everything exactly lined up, but you want to try your best. Let's see if I grab some vertices here. I can pull this angle. That seems to reflect a little more. This guy should be out though. This is the top. Oh, it's not the top. I fooled myself. See right down here, I've left this lip. This one needs to go here, and maybe I can actually rotate that a little bit too. Okay. Let's see what's going on this side. Okay, so I think if we go through, okay, we're not too bad. That's kind of what it looks like. Now the problem is it's very ballish, right? It's very puffy. So I want to give it just a little more structure. And I want to emphasize the fact that there's a pair of, if you will, almost rails that there's a subtle concavity here and two rails that the tibia articulates with when it meets this surface of the talus. So I'm going to insert two edge loops so that I can begin to see now how that instead of being quite so puffy, it's now uh, more reminiscent of a saddle, if you will, almost. And I can even take this face, move it down a little bit, and maybe widen it just to force the impression that there is that subtle concavity there. Okay. Now what we could probably do actually is take a whole nother um, layer of, or add another set of edges, but I don't really want to get into that kind of detail yet. Okay, so now we've kind of got, next thing to do is go back to the number one and make sure there's no faces that are ridiculously crushed. I'm a little unclear about what the heck's going on right here. I don't, yeah, I see that from there, and I'm looking at the bone that I have here with me, and on that medial side, there really isn't this prominence only goes back as far as, or only goes as medial as that. Now the one thing I've done now, of course, is because I subdivided to make those rails, I've now added other faces I have to be conscious of. So I'm going to move that forward a little bit. And I'm going to take this wall, this edge, and actually I'm going to take, yeah, this edge. Let's take this edge. See what happens if I move that in a little bit. Yeah, that's the one I want. Now, when I did that, I ended up going on top of this, so I have to be careful that I see. That's not, none of that's going to work for me right there. There's an edge crossing an edge. So what I do is bring that back. Got to figure out what we can do. I think what we'll have to do is grab this vertex, this edge that I actually just brought in there, take them back out. So instead of bringing those edges, what I really need to do is bring the faces. So now I keep that. And then you notice there is a little piece here in the diagram, and I think that's that piece right there. I like where it is, but I don't like its angle, so I'm just going to rotate a little bit. Okay. And that's that piece that's going to kind of articulate again with the okay, with the calcaneus. So that edge is starting to get too. So you have to be careful. Like I said, I kind of added that rail and then decided to change my mind on some of these uh, details, and as a result now I have more edges and vertices to adjust instead of getting that first. And that's really the one of the tools you want to develop them as best you can. How can you get this to move without folding edges and vertices inside one another? And again, let's see what it looks like. So that's pretty good. Okay. It could probably be a little subtler right here. If I look over here, right there, that edge, where am I looking at? Okay, that's coming down a little more maybe than I show it. So let's again, is there a face? Not really. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll live with that. All right. Now what I want to see is on the other side, so this is again, the medial side from our left camera. On the lateral side, What is that doing? It's doing pretty much the same, except that you're going to see that this end here is actually, that face is in a little bit and rotating a little more in this direction as it forms its articulation with the tibia. I'm sorry, with the calcaneus. Like that. Okay. All right, so that's pretty good for the talus right now, the major part of it, if you will. Let's